Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show, NFL edition on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. We're going to bring out our special guest, a weekly guest on our sports panel from Port St. Lucie, Florida, my nephew, Caleb Lopes. What's up, Caleb? How are you, sir?
I'm all good. What's up, Maurice? How you doing?
Everything is good. We're missing our other normal weekly panelist, Antoine Stewart, who's a little bit sore emotionally. I would imagine after the 49er game. He'll be okay. He's going to join us a little bit later. In the meantime, we're going to just jump right in from week seven's results, starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-24 over the Saints. That one was a close one, but the Jags get the W there over in London across the pond. And then the Raiders were blown away by the Chicago Bears 30-12. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Bears and their quarterback situation a little bit later. Cleveland in a squeaker over the Colts 39-38. That one ended on a controversial call at the end, and then the Patriots over the Buffalo Bills. Caleb, your thoughts on Buffalo, New England?
Oh yeah, that's real bad for Buffalo. They should have gone into this game and been able to smack around the Patriots, who have been absolutely horrendous all season. But as we've been seeing for the past around 3 weeks, the Bills have been having some pretty serious problems with their offense, and if they want to get back to being that big time scary team that everybody knows them as, they're gonna have to fix some problems, offense and defense. The defense did a pretty bad job. They could barely stop Mac Jones, and the Patriots offense that is horrendous, and they just need to figure it out.
They've got a lot of figuring to do. We're going to talk more about Buffalo later. That was a loss that you just can't have if you are to be taken
No.
seriously as a Super Bowl team. They've had some other head scratchers, but like I said, we'll talk about them later. Two non-Super Bowl teams, 14-7, the Giants over the Commanders. And then you look at that game, and I quite frankly and honestly think the Giants are a better team with Tyrod Taylor. What do you think?
Yeah, it's looking like it. He's been playing pretty good football. He's he's definitely been playing better than Daniel Jones, that's for sure. Uh,
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
think
like
there's any. I don't think there's any question about that. But then, when you look at the Commanders, and you look at how stagnant their offense is in general, you start to wonder. I got some questions about the Commanders that we're going to dive into that a little bit later. Atlanta 16-13 over Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers starting to become that team we kind of thought they would be. The Lions in the head scratcher of the day, bar none, getting blown out of M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, 38-6, the final there. Your thoughts on this one, Caleb?
yeah, it was really unexpected. I thought this would go towards the Lions, and if not, it would be a pretty close game. But the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, they came out there balling, and they just shut down everything that Detroit tried doing. And uh, I feel like that's the $200 million Lamar we've been waiting to see all year.
It is. That's the guy that we expect to see every week, standing shoulder to shoulder, Baltimore with the Kansas City Chiefs, and what we once thought were the Buffalo Bills. I don't know who they are anymore. Like I said, we're going to talk about Buffalo a little bit later, but yes, that's what we expected out of Lamar and the Ravens. The Steelers in a surprise at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, beating the Rams 24-17. Seattle 20-10 over the Cardinals. in Seattle. Not a surprise there. Green Bay losing a game in Denver to the Broncos 19-17, a game that you just simply cannot lose, and having an opportunity late in the ball game to win it with a field goal, and they just squander the opportunity. Jordan Love comes up short once again. Your thoughts on that one, Caleb?
Uh, I mean, yeah, Jordan Love. I think we started off a little bit too high expectations for him, and he's showing us he's not really that guy. He he's not what he was built up to be. And then again, their coaching hasn't been too great. Uh, but I feel like the Broncos, they played a pretty decent game of football. They've looked a little bit better these past 2 weeks, I think. And I mean, like both of these teams, they're not great.
No, and I think Denver's looked a little bit better over the past few weeks. They even took the Kansas City Chiefs to a 16-9 final. I mean, they played the Chiefs tooth and nail, who I think are the best team in football. So I agree with you. Denver is probably not as bad as we thought they were, but neither team great, to your point. We move on to Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs 31-17 over the Chargers, blowing the Chargers away. They're saying that there's a issue with Justin Herbert's finger. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to keep moving. Philadelphia 31-7. They paid him $262 million, for goodness sakes. We move on to the Eagles handling their business against the Dolphins 31-17 at Lincoln Field in Philadelphia. And the shocker, perhaps even more so than the Ravens over the Lions of the weekend, the Vikings 22-7, second loss in a row for the 49ers. Caleb, your thoughts?
Yeah, that one really surprised me. I thought that the 49ers would come out there hungrier than ever, taking a loss last week, and they would handle their business against not so great teams in the Vikings. But uh, Jordan Addison and Kirk Cousins really went out there and played ball. Kirk Cousins threw that first interception, and he locked in after that. He almost went perfect. He played a pretty good game. Jordan Addison really stood out. Their defense was able to stop uh, the 49ers, which is very rare. It's weird even seeing the 49ers being stopped like that. It's not like them. And it's they have to get it together if they want to be back in this conversation as number one.
There's no question about it. And to your point about Kirk Cousins, he did ball out. He balled out, and he has games like that from time to time where he's pretty effective, highly effective. Even he was balling last night, on Monday night, and yes, the 49ers are going to have to maybe go back to the drawing board, because they are not that team we thought they were right now, in order for them to stay at number one. So let's look at some NFL headlines. And we'll start out with, speaking of the 49ers being number one and looking at the Lions get blown away. And then you start looking around the league and you look at the Buffalo Bills squandered another game that they should have won. Question is, are there any teams out there, Caleb, that are truly dominant?
I really don't think so. And if there's any team that's a little bit getting close to it, I'd say it's the Eagles. But even then, last week they took the loss uh, to um, to the Jets, and that was unexpected. So it's a week to week league. Any team can be any team. I wouldn't say any one team right now is truly dominant in any fashion.
Well, I would say that no, I would agree with you. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, to me, if I was going to pick somebody, it would be Kansas City. I think they're starting to slowly kind of get back into their groove, but I'm not 100% impressed by them either. You sit back and you look at all these teams that we thought were going to be this, we thought they were going to be that, and they're not. We're seeing a lot of inconsistency, basically, in the NFL.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's Kansas City and the Eagles playing the best football.
Mhm.
And these are the two participants in last year's Super Bowl. And if I would, I said it at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to say it again. I've already picked my Super Bowl winner. I think the Chiefs are going to go back and they're going to do it again. That's just my personal opinion. I do think Taylor Swift following Travis Kelce to every game could be a potential problem in terms of Kelsey maintaining the focus necessary to play at his highest level. We will see. It's a game by game, situation because I look at the Chargers and I just think the Chargers are a train wreck. They've got all that talent.
Oh yeah.
And every
Yeah.
week there's an excuse why they didn't get it done. And now the excuse this week is Justin Herbert has a sore finger. Dude, do you realize Brett Favre played with a broken thumb on his throwing hand for the majority of a season and still lit the league up? So I don't want to hear. Matter of fact, Aaron Rodgers has played with a sprained thumb his last two seasons in Green Bay. Still went out there and got the job done. It wasn't anything to write home to mom about, but they were either a playoff team or a playoff threat. So this talk about Justin and his sore finger, look, dude, I don't want to hear it. I mean, you're
Yeah.
getting paid $262 million. And what were you doing before this mysterious finger soreness? Not a lot. I mean,
No.
you're surprising everybody. So I look at the Chiefs' win over the Chargers as somewhat of an aberration. Like, okay, it was a big win. You kind of look at the Chargers and the way they've played all year, and you're like, yeah, you kind of should have done that to them. So
Yeah.
I'm not convinced yet that the Chiefs are the team, but that's who I'm going to go with right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, both teams were in the Super Bowl last year. They're living up to expectations. Uh, and yeah, it just makes sense. They're the two teams that's playing high level football. The Eagles and the Chiefs. So I mean, who else? I can't really put the 49ers right there right now. They're a great team, but they've lost two in a row. And that's really unacceptable for someone who's supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. So those are the two teams that are at dominating at the moment.
Well, the 49ers, after they beat the Dallas Cowboys mercilessly, started talking a lot of trash. George
Yeah.
Kittle and I think it was Debo Samuel, I want to say, talked a lot of trash and saying Dallas doesn't want to see us. And, they were just talking so much trash. And I was saying they may want to turn it down a little bit. And sure enough, they're on a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And these excuses about injuries. Look, dude, I don't want to hear that. You just lost 2 consecutive games to what I would consider inferior teams.
Mhm.
And yeah, Kirk Cousins he had a very good game. Every once in a blue moon, he'll do that. He's not consistent. People want to think the Vikings are a team we better watch out for. No, we don't.
No.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, we don't. We know who the Vikings are, and we know who Kirk Cousins is. So that was a good win last night. The one thing about the Vikings, they will give you 60 minutes of entertaining football, win or lose.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll give the Vikings. They will play football for 60 minutes. I'll give them that. But they don't know how to close games. They find some ways to lose. And if they're, lucky enough to make it, to the playoffs with a strong record, they'll find dumb ways to go home early.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not convinced by that win last night by the Vikings. The Vikings are a team. If you don't button buckle up your chin strap against Minnesota, they'll beat you. They played 60 minutes of football. That's the one credit that I will give them. But no, I'm not impressed by them going forward. Like, oh wow, watch out for them. I'm not watching out for them. Matter of fact, wake me up when there's a reason to look at Minnesota. But anyway, that being said, the 49ers don't look good. Brock Purdy has not looked well over the past couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that is so true. We were talking about him a few weeks ago, saying that he was that guy. He's a perfect fit for this offense, and he hasn't proved that to me these past few weeks. It's been very ugly. He's been throwing these dumb interceptions like he threw yesterday night to end that game. There was one 49ers receivers and like four or five uh Vikings DBs around. It was a bad read. There was no reason to throw that ball there. Yet I think he's getting in his own head. He needs to calm down, and it's just he needs to get he needs to get it together.
I think he needs to get it together. I don't think Brock Purdy is quite as good as we thought because he has not looked very good the past couple of games. And I like what you just said. I think the pressure is starting to get in his head a little bit. He's overthinking. He's not running that offense with the precision that he had before these two losses. And so I just think right now the 49ers as a whole are not the team again that we thought they were. Buffalo's not the team we thought they were. The Eagles and Chiefs look like they might be, but they're not, looking like world beaters, if you will. Dallas Cowboys looking like a charlatan as always. We'll find out more about them next week, but there's nothing impressive about the Dallas Cowboys to me that says, yeah, watch out for them. And we found out that the Lions may be fraudulent. Let's go
Yeah.
on to our next NFL line. We were talking about Jordan Love a little bit earlier. And the question I have is, are we being too hard on Jordan Love when we think about Aaron Rodgers' first year as the starter for Green Bay? A lot of people forget they went 6-10. So Aaron Rodgers wasn't, an elite quarterback either when he had his first season. Had some nice games, but it was a losing season. Your thoughts on that, Caleb?
Yeah, but the thing is about Aaron Rodgers' first season, he might have gone 6-10, but he had great stats. I was looking at it, and especially for a pretty his first starting season, he
Yeah.
had 4,000 yards, almost 30 TDs, and he had 12 interceptions. So that's not too bad. And I feel like Jordan Love, he's not gonna throw for 4,000 yards this season. I don't think he's gonna throw for way more than 12 picks, and I don't think he has as much ceiling as Aaron Rodgers has either.
Yeah.
And so we might be being a little bit too hard on him. It is his first season.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Caleb Nephew, my nephew Caleb Lopes of Port St. Lucie, Florida. We're talking about Jordan Love maybe being overly criticized for the troubles the Packers are having right now at 2-4. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show NFL Edition on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. You look at what Aaron Rodgers did that first year, and to Caleb's point, he did have some pretty tremendous stats. Jordan Love's not being helped by the play calling with Matt LaFleur. If you look at the games the Packers have lost, 1 point against the Falcons, Jordan Love didn't come through when they had the opportunity, and they came out and got blown out by the Lions at Lambeau Field. And then a week prior to that, they lost to a very poor Raiders team, who were the Raiders were just poor, and Jordan Love threw picks to lose that threw actually three interceptions in that game. And who are you going to beat with three interceptions? You're winning for the other team. And then this past Sunday in Denver at Reliance Stadium, he threw the pick at the end to lose it, to lose the ball game. So Jordan Love's had a rough start at 2-4, and I don't think Matt LaFleur has helped him out a whole lot. Matter of fact, I don't think Matt LaFleur really knows what he's doing.
No, he doesn't. As I was saying, Jordan Love, he doesn't have that ceiling, and he's, as you said, he's not getting any help from his coaching staff. Matt LaFleur isn't great, uh, and they need to fix something, or else the Packers are gonna go down in shambles. And I don't think anyone wants to see that, especially not you, being a Packers fan. And they just need to find that rhythm. Jordan Love isn't too bad, so they need to find something that works for them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just sickening. We're just not winning games when they're right there to be had. I mean, the Falcon game should have been won. The Raider game should have been won. And Denver, we should have beaten them at Reliance Stadium without question, in perfect position to win the ball game. And that should have been taken care of. I think the Lion game is the only bad game for real, that we played where we didn't have a chance. So I don't think overall the Packers are really that bad. I think Jordan Love is not really the guy, as you stated accurately earlier, that we thought he was. He's not Aaron Rodgers. And Matt LaFleur thinks that he can call up the same plays that he would for Aaron. No, 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 no. This is a guy that you have to bring along slowly and use the weapons around and stop making dumb mistakes. They got across the 50-yard line down the stretch. AJ Dillon gets to like the 43 of the Broncos 42. Now, with about a minute and 50 seconds left, you have an opportunity to give me 10 or 15 more yards, and let's let our kicker go out there and win the game. I don't care if it's 53 yards. He's got the leg for it. But now you sit on the ball, you eat that clock up, you make the Broncos burn all of their timeouts, and you go out there and you kick that field goal. It's 2019, and with 58 seconds left, the way Russell Wilson has played, I'll bet on him losing.
Oh yeah,
And they had the opportunity. And what does Jordan Love do? He goes out and throws another pick. I think he's got more picks already. What do you say? Aaron Rodgers had 12 in his first season, entire season. He had
yeah.
12. I think Jordan's got 13. I'm done. I'm getting mad. Let's move on, Caleb, to the Detroit Lions. Did we overrate the Detroit Lions?
You know, you can't say just because they lost one game, they we overrated them. But that was a really ugly game, and they didn't play the football
Yeah, it was really, yeah.
we seen them play this entire season. So I can understand why people uh are saying this. We know they haven't gone or won a playoff game in years upon years, and we've gotten used to this losing mentality for the Lions, and it's giving people flashbacks, I think, of almost how they were for the past 20 plus years. So if they keep doing this, I can completely understand and agree with this overrating of the Lions. But right now, just because they lost one game, I wouldn't I wouldn't say that just yet.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. I would agree with you, but to go out to Baltimore in a big game like that and just not even show up, like you're now looking like you're at the big boy table and you go and you sit down like you're in preschool. I mean, 38-6 is just totally unacceptable for a team that has a losing reputation. You make everyone believe that you're one of those teams. And I tell you right now, I'm looking at the Lions a little bit side eyed and I'm thinking to myself, are they fraudulent? I mean, have they been able to win games over teams that are just inferior and they took advantage of them? And that's what that 5-2 record looks like. Granted, they beat the Chiefs without Travis Kelsey and Chris Jones, who happen to be two of the most important people on their team short of Patrick Mahomes
Yeah.
to start the year. And they won by 1 point. And okay, fine. Chiefs haven't been playing all that great this year, but now the Chiefs are kind of going along as we thought they would. Um, I don't know. I'm just giving the Lions the side eye right now. I'm like, really, dude?
Yeah, it's understandable.
I mean, the 38-6, dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm starting to think maybe we overrated the line. We'll see. We got a lot of football left to go here. We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show, NFL edition on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. Talking with nephew Caleb Lopez. Will be joined later by Antoine Stewart. We're looking at NFL headlines right now, and the next headline is, and I think it's a question that deserves some pondering, and that's this: are we paying enough attention to the Seattle Seahawks, who are quietly sitting at 4-2?
Mm, the Seahawks, they've been playing some pretty decent football. They've got these sneaky wins. No one's really been talking about them at all. So, uh, yeah, I would say we're not paying enough attention. They really, all these games except, yeah, all their games except for their first one against the Rams have been relatively close. I mean, they beat the Lions, they beat the Panthers, they absolutely destroy the Giants, and
Yes,
then, uh, and then they lose by a very tight margin against the Bengals last week, and then they come out and play a really good game against the Cardinals. They're looking pretty good. I mean, we can't overlook them, and I think that's what we're doing right now. We're not paying enough attention to them, and they should be uh, a team that you should be mildly concerned about playing because they're not gonna. It's not gonna be an easy game.
you kind of wanted to lump the Seahawks into the NFC South mentality. Like, yeah, they're about like the Falcons. Yeah, they're about like the Saints. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
about like the Buccaneers, but they're not. I think they're clearly better than those teams,
Yeah.
and they're 4-2, and they're quietly going along doing their business, and no one's really paying attention to the Seahawks. But I think that Pete Carroll is doing something pretty special over there.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of the league might want to take a look at what they're doing and be prepared to play their A game anytime Seattle is on your schedule, because I don't think they're to be fooled with right now based on what I'm seeing.
Hmm.
Um, our next NFL headline, we're going to take a look at this question here: are the Dolphins, who lost to the Eagles 31-17 in a pretty good ball game? The Eagles pulled away late and took care of their business. But the question I have, too much of a finesse team to be taken seriously as a Caleb, your thoughts on that?
Uh.
So we've got Caleb Lopez on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show to be joined. I'm sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
Okay. Uh. Yeah, they've been really shaky against these better teams. Even against early in the season, their first game they played against the Chargers. Maybe they were. It's the first game, but they really struggled against them. They played against the Bills. The better version of the Bills back then. They got absolutely manhandled, and then they play against the Eagles this weekend, and they just don't show up. And I'm seeing kind of a trend here. Whenever you come out and really play a hard nosed game of football with them, they can't catch up. And they'll just, I feel like they almost give up. And it's not pretty. And if they want to be a contender, they gotta fight through those hard games. They gotta come back and uh and play a whole and play 4 quarters. And that might be due to, like you said, their finesse team. They want to come out on top and they stay on top from the jump. And that's not gonna happen with every team you play. So it's it's definitely a thing that we're gonna have to look into the for the rest of the season. And if they don't get this together, it's gonna be a struggle during the playoffs when they see these better teams.
This far into the season, I think they are looking like a straight finesse team. And when someone hits them in the mouth, when a tough team shows up and they get hit in the mouth, this is the end result. They kind of don't hang around, and they end up either getting blown out like they did against Buffalo, or they're just not. Actually, it's a semi blowout against the Eagles, although they hung in there for a while. But they're not a back alley brawl team.
No.
And so if they can't, use their eye candy speed guys and kind of like cruise along, because their defense isn't anything to write home to mom about either. I mean, they're not a terrible defense, but they're not a great defense either. So that being said, the Dolphins are now making us kind of look at them a little bit differently, but they're 5-2, and depending on how things go from here, we'll see what happens with them. Next question: the Buffalo Bills. Are the Bills turning into pretenders, or do we still believe in them?
The Bills, they have a very talented team. They're great. Josh Allen is a top five quarterback right now, and but they're not showing us that. They're being pretenders. And as long as they keep making these close, as long as they keep playing bad teams and making them close games, that's what we're gonna see in them. We're gonna see pretenders. We're not gonna see that contender team that every year they say, "Oh, we're gonna go to the Super Bowl." This year, they're showing us, nah, we could go, but we're choosing not to.
So, do
That,
we have Antoine Stewart there? Okay. So, Antoine is sending us messages. Apparently, he's not able to join us. That's fine. He's saying the Bills are pretenders. So, yeah, I think without question, Buffalo right now at this point, I don't take them seriously. They're not a team that I think is a Super Bowl winning team, much less a Super Bowl winning team. They're not a Super Bowl team at all right now. Got a lot of football left. They got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what the heck they're doing, because losing to the Patriots is inexcusable. To a guy like Mac Jones, who scored 8 points in 2 games, okay, blown out in one of the two, and then he leads the winning drive like he's Tom Brady, and he's not Tom Brady. Next question: Are or is it time for the Washington Commanders to consider Jacoby Brissett?
uh, yes, definitely. Uh, Sam Howell has been absolutely horrible. You know, he he had zero touchdowns, one interception, a QBR of 20. That's just that's horrible. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he's not going to be too much better, but I think he could lead this team to at least being a little bit competitive because Sam Howell, he's not doing absolutely anything right now, and the Commanders have to definitely look into Jacoby Brissett.
I think that Tyrod Taylor makes the Giants better, but they only scored 14 points. And if you can't find 17, 23 points, 20 against that defense, because it's not a great defense, it's kind of inexcusable. I mean, that's all you're able to get is 7 points with Eric Bieniemy as your play caller. Again, essentially, Sam Howell is a rookie. He's not played terribly bad, but he's not played, on an acceptable level consistently. And I think the Commanders have a good ball club, and they're wasting the talent on their team if you can't play consistent, decent football at that quarterback position. And sometimes Sam Howell has decent games. Sometimes he has absolute abysmal games. And they're sitting at 3-4. and you've got a guy like Jacoby Brissett who's actually been in the league 7 or 8 years. Oh, he can do better than that.
Oh
To
yeah,
your point,
that's,
he's
yeah.
not great, but he can do better than that. And I think if the Commanders don't think seriously about this, they're going to have a spoiled season because it's just not looking good right now at that position. Speaking of quarterback, do the Bears have a quarterback controversy on their hands?
Uh, not just yet. I really like I really like the Bagnet. I don't know how to say his last name, but uh I really liked him. He went out in the preseason. I was watching a few of the Bears games. He looked pretty good, and then he showed us that yes, during this weekend that he can play. He can play some pretty decent football. It was against the Raiders. The Raiders are absolutely they're not a good team, but if he can keep if he can keep playing at this level, I feel like he could give uh Justin Fields a run for his money.
I think we have Antoine Stewart available here. So, Antoine, do you think the Bears have a quarterback controversy? The backup is Tyson Badgett. Stewart.
Yes. Can you hear me?
So, yes, go ahead.
Um, I don't think they have a controversy. I think that even with the last question with Sam, these guys are young, um, and they need to be developed. You know, there was a time where they used in the NFL we used to give them 3 years to develop a quarterback, and now because of Patrick Mahomes and things like that, people want their instant oatmeal. They want it now. But a lot of guys from college still need time to develop. And as long as you see that the guy's putting in the effort and he has those flashes that he has the talent, I think we got to give some guys, more time to develop.
Well, I'll go back to Caleb's aforementioned point about the Raiders not being anything to really be excited about. They got the win. They look good. The Bears looked good, I mean to say, over the Raiders, and Badgett seemed to know what he was doing. He wasn't even drafted, and he's looking about as good, if not better, than Justin Fields. Although the last time we saw Justin, he looked really good. Maybe the Bears have kind of straightened some things up on offense. I don't know, but I agree with you, Stu. We do want to be careful about how quickly we judge these young quarterbacks, but you know we can only wait for so long here. I mean, when you have people available like the Commanders do, who's probably a better option, you may want to go with them. Just like at Carolina being 0-6, I would probably have gone with Andy Dalton after the first 4 games, simply because Bryson Young is still trying to figure this thing out. The Packers have a guy in Jordan Love. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's giving games away that the Packers could very well have won. In fact, should have won if you take away his mistakes. So it's a catch-22. Do we give these guys time to pick this thing up and get it going, or do we scrap it and go with somebody else? It's hard, but at the end of the day, if we really believe in these young guys, yes, Stu, you may be right. I mean, hey, let's be patient. May have to junk the season though. Understand that your season may be done. your guy's gonna learn, but you're not gonna win more than 5 games. So it just depends on how you want to play this thing. I'm gonna switch gears and get over to your 49ers, who lost to the Vikings. And my question is this: have the 49ers lost their aura of invincibility? I leave it to you, Stu.
I don't think we ever had it.
Oh,
You know,
okay. My bad, bro. Okay.
I think a lot of people, they gave us a lot of hype and stuff like that. Um, we're a good team, but I wasn't expecting to go undefeated. I mean, last year we were in the NFC Championship game and we lost 4 games. So I don't see us losing 6 games this year, but I know we always have those moments to where we don't play our best football. And right now we're going through a learning curve on the defensive side of the ball with having a new defensive coordinator who's still trying to learn the team because we already have an identity and he came in with his own idea and we're trying they got to figure that out. I don't know if you saw the clip when Bosa kind of he didn't want to disrespect Wilkes, but he kind of said, we're calling defensive plays differently than they're accustomed to because we weren't a blitzing team. We kind of just let the front four get after the quarterback and we play coverage. And now blitzing as much as we did, especially against the Vikings, put us in a lot of bad situations. So I think we're still trying to figure out who we are as this new, with the new components in place. And I think that we'll figure it out by the time things start to get real in December.
Okay, good enough. Caleb, your thoughts?
Uh, like Stu said, I don't think any team should be handed an aura of invincibility. It's a week by week league. Uh, you win one game, and then you should be getting ready to play your next. So, I mean, they're a great team. They have a lot of talent, but they just have to get it together, get regroup, and as soon as they do that, I think they're on track to have a great season. They're a great team. Uh,
Well, let's, speaking of a great team, let's look at our NFC Power Five. And I have them listed with the Eagles in the number one spot, to be followed by the aforementioned 49ers. And then I've got a surprise guest to the party in the Seahawks at three, followed by the Cowboys. And I have the Lions dropping all the way to five. Stu, your thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. The Eagles showed that, they were more resilient than the 49ers were. I think they kind of put on their big boy pants and showed that they are currently the number one team in the NFC. With the 49ers losing, I think we fall to that number two spot. And, the Seahawks are showing that they're resilient. And, the Cowboys and the Lions, that could switch around either way you want. I agree with everything you did because of the Lions, the way that they lost and how they lost, it was kind of like it wasn't even a fight at all. So I agree.
Caleb, your thoughts on this Power Five?
yeah, I agree with it. Eagles at one, 49ers at two, Seahawks at three. I really like you putting them there. You're not overlooking them, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Seahawks have been playing pretty good football, great football. And then Cowboys and Lions. Before this week, I would have definitely put the Lions over the Cowboys. But as you said, Stu, the way that they lost that game against the Ravens, it was horrible. And uh, yeah, the five spot is deserving as of now.
Let's switch over to the AFC Power Five. And I have them listed as follows: the Chiefs at number one, followed by the Baltimore Ravens, who showed what they're capable of when they come out and play football. The Jaguars, Browns, and Steelers in the three, four, and five spots. Stu, your thoughts?
I would definitely have to agree, man. The Chiefs are starting to play Chiefs football, starting to look like themselves. They're starting to get hot. The Ravens, man, that was a great win by them. Lamar looked phenomenal. He looked like every bit of what people thought he could be or couldn't be. Because some people say he can't play in the pocket. He showed that he can play in the pocket, and that makes him more of a dangerous quarterback and a dangerous threat to where he's carving you up from the pocket. And he always has that ability to escape the pocket.
Yeah.
Jacksonville has come to their own. They're looking good. They're looking kind of picking up from last year. And the Browns, I think the scariest thing about the Browns is that Deshaun didn't play a whole game. They're still not playing with their best players yet. So and they're still managing to win games. And that's the makeup of a good team when you manage to win without your stars. And Steelers, you
Yeah.
you can't say anything about them.
So we lost Antoine
Looking
Stewart.
like the
Hopefully,
guy who, yeah, looking like the guy who they
uh,
thought they was. So
yeah, the Steelers are the looking like the team we thought they might be at 4-2. Caleb, your thoughts on this AFC Power Five?
Yeah, the Chiefs are definitely at one. Like we were talking earlier in the show, the beginning. The Chiefs and the Eagles, they're in a league of their own right now. They're the teams that I'm really liking. The Super Bowl teams from last year. Then the Ravens, they played an amazing game on their part. Uh, like you said, Stu, Lamar looked like that 200 and uh, and some $1 million quarterback. Uh, and then the Jags, they're playing great football. They're picking up pieces. They're picking up their pieces from last year, and they've started to look like a pretty scary team. You mark them on your calendar. You can't just say, "Oh, we won this game" anymore. And then the Browns, that defense is great. Miles Garrett is a scary man, and the Steelers, they're always in the picture. Uh, can't say much about them.
No, you can't. I think that if you look at that Jaguar team, it's like okay, they're starting to kind of look like a team that we expected them to be, and the Bills are out. They're
Yeah,
pretenders.
it's
They have no business at the big boy table either. Let's go to the NFL Power Five, where I have them listed as follows: the Chiefs, best team in the NFL, followed by the Eagles, Ravens, the Dolphins, and the 49ers. Stu, your thoughts on this list?
Yes, I also agree with that.
So I think Antoine Stewart is having some technical difficulties, but yeah, we've got the Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Dolphins, 49ers. Caleb, your thoughts on this list?
yeah, those are the teams that have been playing good football. Uh, 49ers on there because they're just a great team. When they do get it together, when they do figure it out, whatever's happening, they're gonna be amazing, like they were beginning of the season. And the Ravens, the Dolphins have that high power offense. If they can start figuring out how to deal with these hard hitting teams coming out playing hard nosed football instead of just finesse, they'll be a scary, real scary team to play against. And the Ravens showed us who they really were this weekend. So I would have to agree with this list.
The Ravens showed us what they're capable of. And I'm just waiting on the consistency. I bumped them up to number two. I'm not 100% sold they're going to do that every week, and because they played a Lions team that just didn't show up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the Ravens are not that good. And the Lions just simply didn't show up based on what we know the Detroit Lions to be. And they're borderline fraudulent right now at this point. However, the Ravens deserve the number two spot because they played in the way that we all believe that they're capable of playing. Let's see if they can keep it up. Let's look at the week 8 matchups that we have for the weekend coming up, starting at 1 o'clock. We're going to look at actually, yes, that London stuff is over. So at 1 o'clock, the Rams take on the Cowboys. That might actually be, I think that might be the game of the weekend. Your thoughts on Rams Cowboys?
That's gonna be a pretty good game. I'm liking how the Rams are looking. Uh, they, I'm pretty sure they lost this weekend.
They did.
Uh, and then it was a weird loss, and if they can get it together like they were before, with Puka. Cooper Cup is back, I'm pretty sure. Matt Stafford, he's a baller, and they can come out and play from the jump. They have a chance against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, I think they are the better team on paper, but they can always choke up on a game. So uh, I'm gonna go with the Rams on this one.
Stu, your thoughts in this matchup?
Um, yeah, I'm also going to take the Rams. I'm still the Cowboys. I'm still not all the way, you know, think they're stamped that the boys have arrived. I think the Rams are playing good ball right now. They're not playing their best ball, but they're a tough team, especially with I believe the Cowboys' number one corner is out. So that's going to be a tough task for them to cover both of those receivers they have. And now that the Rams are running the ball well, I'm going to have to take the Rams.
I think this is just going to be an entertaining game. I don't think the Rams have shown us enough to believe they can go into Dallas and just slap them around. At the same time, we've seen enough hijinks from Dallas not to have a ton of confidence in them.
Yeah,
So because you have two teams that are like playing about the same, I think that this game reminds me a little bit of the Chargers Cowboys game we saw last Monday night. This is going to be an both teams have ability offensively. The Cowboys definitely have a great defense. The Rams have a very good defense. I just think it's going to be evenly matched. I can't really call this game. I think the Cowboys can win it, but I just think that right now the Cowboys are at home. I'm going to give them the edge. I probably shouldn't. They don't deserve me to give them the edge, but I'm going to do it anyway just because they're in Dallas. But I think the game will be very entertaining. The Vikings take on the Packers at 1 o'clock. The Falcons versus the Titans. Saints versus the Colts. The Patriots take on the Dolphins, and the New York Jets take on the New York Giants in the battle for New York. The Jags and the Steelers at 1 o'clock. Your thoughts on this one, Stu?
Oh man, that's going to be a great game. Wow. Um, I think that's a 50-50 game. The Steelers are always tough. That coach, he always has them ready to play. Um, I'm just gonna take the Steel City. I'm gonna take the Steelers at home. Just them coming off the win, and they just won, right? Make sure I'm
Yes.
pretty
yes,
Yes,
much.
they did. They
them
beat the
coming off of the
Rams.
that's right. Them coming off of that win. I think that shoot, they were playing some great ball, man. I'm gonna take the Steelers at home.
Caleb, your pick.
Yeah, as you said, Mike Tomlin, he's a great coach. He's always real hard to play against. But the Jags, they've been playing great football. Um, I like them. I would say they have the better roster. Uh, it like you said, it's going to be a 50-50 game. Just because the Steelers are at home, I'm gonna take the Steelers, but it's gonna be real interesting to watch.
Should be a good one. 1 o'clock on Sunday. The Eagles take on the Commanders. And this is a game here. This is weird. I have a feeling. I don't know what it is. The Commanders always give the Eagles all they want and some more. I don't know what it is. It's a divisional matchup. And I feel like the Commanders are going to win the game. Stu?
Oh man, you are absolutely correct. The Commanders always play up to their competition, and in the Philly, they're the top dogs right now. So I think the Commanders are going to give them everything they want and more, and they have the motivation. I mean, after that loss to the New York Giants, a lot of things that come into question. Riverboat Ryan, the Eric Bieniemy, what's going on with the offense? You bringing this offensive specialist guy who was with Patrick Mahomes, and you guys only scoring 7 points against the New York Giants. So I think the Commanders are definitely going to give it all. I wouldn't be surprised if they did win, but I have to go with Philly. Just the way that they've been playing lately, I think that Philly is going to be too tough for the Commanders.
Caleb, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, the Commanders and they always play great games against their division, and especially against the Eagles, they always give them their all. They play uh, hard nosed football. It's going to be a pretty interesting game to watch, you know. But the Eagles, I feel like they're just better, and they should come out and win this game. But like you guys said, it's going to be interesting to watch. Commanders usually play up to the Eagles' competition, and it. But I'm gonna take the Eagles on this one.
Yeah, well, the smart money says Philly. My gut's just saying go with the Commanders. There's something about this game I don't know why. I do not know why, but some tell me go with the Commanders at 1 o'clock. Also, Texans take the Panthers at 1:4:05. Browns and Seahawks in Seattle. Very good matchup there. Chiefs and Broncos at 4:25 p.m. The Ravens take on the Cardinals at 4:25, and the Bengals and 49ers square off at the 4:25 time slot. Stu, I'm going to let you analyze this one. This is a good matchup.
It's a great matchup, and Joe Burrows is playing great football right now. I'm happy that we're at home. We haven't lost at home this year yet, and I think that, to be honest with you, I think that the Bengals had a better shot if we would have won this week. But having two back-to-back losses, we're gonna have to do some soul searching. They're gonna play a 49ers team that is now has been humbled, as some would say, and trying to get back on the good foot against a great team in the Bengals. I'm gonna take the 49ers because we're at home, but it's no easy cakewalk. It's no easy win, definitely.
Yeah.
Caleb, your thoughts on this matchup?
As you said, Stu, I don't think the 49ers can afford to lose another game. And I mean, the Bengals are playing great football. Joe Burrow, it's looking like they got it together, and it's gonna be a real good game to watch. This week is loaded with pretty nice games, and there's gonna be another one. I'm gonna have to take the 49ers. I feel like they're gonna come into this game hungry, and they're gonna want to win. So I'm gonna take them winning at home.
All right, sounds good to me. I'm going to go with the 49ers as well. Later that night at 8:20, the Bears travel to Los Angeles to SoFi to take on the Chargers, which should be actually at this point fairly even matchup. I mean, you can just throw the coin up in the air and just take your pick. And then Monday night, the Raiders take on the Detroit Lions at 8:15 on ABC and ESPN. I have a very strong feeling the Lions are going to be marauding mad, and they may take it out on the Raiders. And if you're going to take it out on anybody, why not the Raiders? Hey, this has been a great show, guys. And I say happy Thursday morning to everybody out there. Enjoy your Thursday. And to you, Stu and Caleb, I say, may the peace of Christ continue to be with you and your family. We'll see you next Thursday right here on Bog Radio. God bless you guys.
God bless you too.
God bless you.